Testing, testing, live.
Hi, Bob.
Good afternoon. How's everyone?
Good. How about you?
Just fine, thanks. Winter's beyond upon us,
Yeah, it's getting there.
knocking at the door. Hi, Angie.
Oh, we got a quorum.
Hmm.
That's good.
Yeah. We don't have anybody here to explain anything to us, but we have a quorum.
Yeah. Guess we'll have to wait then.
Or let's just make it up as we go along.
That doesn't work so well.
Hello,
Well, we just-
everyone.
Hi, Angie.
Hi, Angie.
Glad you can all hear me.
Yes.
Yes?
I was having a little problem getting myself on, but that's my problem. You're all looking good tonight.
Hi, Shar.
Ron looked even better when he was Paul Hollywood before.
I felt better too.
Yeah. And what a cook.
Oh, yeah. I love that show.
I do too.
I hate reality shows, but I love that one.
Yeah. There's something about the British Baking Show just has so many fans of so many interests. Not necessarily that they're all cooks or anything. You just enjoy it.
Yeah. I could do without the two new hosts. I don't really care for them. I like the
Yeah.
ladies better what they had in the beginning,
Mhm.
but
I got used to it after a while, but I was
yeah,
kind of
you just
frustrated.
ignore them if you have to. You know, just go past it. But everybody treats each other so nicely. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
it's not like the American shows where everybody's yelling at each other and getting mad and all that.
All right.
Hi, Charlotte. Hi, Sandra.
Hello.
Are we waiting on the Toddster?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I just got off another call. Let me see if I can get a hold of him.
There he is.
There he comes. He must have heard me. There he is.
Oh,
The marshal's in town.
yes, you got it.
There's a new marshal in town.
Wow. Hold on. Oh, I gotta grab some beer.
Well, believe it or not, Pat, but we got buzzing from you again.
I took my hearing aids out and they're out of the room. It cannot be that it is me this time.
No, but your box lights up when I hear the buzzing, so that's why I thought it was you.
You probably have a lot of antennas somewhere, you know.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
you think
something
about-
else.
You know what, you think about clock radios and everything else, you don't realize how many of those little antennas we used to all have around. And it's probably something picking up.
Well, take a look at the size of my husband's monitor, and then you just sort of get an idea. So there's a lot of devices.
Yeah, he's transmitting to Mars or something there, isn't he?
He loves spreadsheets.
Oh,
Are we all here?
yes, we are. I think everybody we need, and we're past 4:30, so we could get started for the policy committee meeting of November 10th. And I need approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any corrections needed? Any changes? Any additions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so now we have some changes to the variance for the, I lost the address here. It's somewhere.
What was it? 6786 Yale Bridge?
Yeah, right, Yale Bridge Drive, right.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Go. Yeah, go ahead. Todd, you knocked out my first question already with your amendment, because I was going to talk about collaboration. I thought maybe this was the Chicago Bears and they were all
That-
collaborating.
okay. We'll get to that, but yes, there were some revisions that we had to do. But let's step back. Obviously, we did approve an agreement, I'd say 2 months ago, with the Prosser management up there at 6786 Yale Bridge Road. It was regarding a variance that was done that we needed some clarification and actually get this back on the books properly here. And what they were trying to do is save their money down the road and see if the existing system, which we know is too small for their venue compared to the code. So they're going for that, for the variance to the code. We suggested or requested, and it was actually approved between the both parties, that he would have an inlet water flow meter and an outlet inflow out meter. So we would know what's coming in the building and what's going out, and they should be identical. It really wraps everything up, and it's transparent. The letter that you have from Reno Zom in your packet is the attorney, and basically they're asking for financial hardship because after they signed that agreement, they looked into about the outflow water meters, sewage meters. And so did I. I did, and I confirmed it myself. They're very expensive. They can get up to $20,000 after buying it, installing it, and all that. Totally understand. What we're trying to do is at least find out what kind of water they're running for the year. So I suggest, and this what the new agreement would be, is there's the main things that I need to know. If we're not going to have an out meter because of financial hardship, I need to tighten this thing down. And what I mean by that is getting a licensed plumber out there monthly. So he could take a look at the meter, timestamp it, date it, send it to me. But not only that, he can check to make sure that the meter has not been tampered. That is a concern to me. And historically, people have removed these things. There is ways to know so it's not tampered. Also, this licensed plumber can identify every month that there's no other outside discharges outside the septic system, like they're pumping it on the ground. So I cover that. Also, calibration. These things are not the best. Don't get me wrong, these inlet water meters. And after every month, they'll have them calibrated. So it really tightens it up. This is the only way I could see possible without having an outflow water meter is to do these three things. They agreed. They said to us, they looked into it. The other thing that you have, they do have a licensed plumber, which there was a revision on this area mechanical. They did not have a plumber's license number on it. Since we're asking for it, the original one didn't. This one does. So they agreed upon it. The agreement there's a new agreement in your packet that needs to be re-signed. And basically, it's under the parties' responsibilities of section 2. I think it's basically the third bullet point or the third segment on the responsibilities. It does say about no outside discharges, no tampering, and calibration, and making sure that he's time stamping the findings. Those are the things that we needed to have to ensure that we're both on the same page, both parties. So,
How
I
long
remember,
for, Todd?
excuse me, what?
How long is this agreement?
For-
be?
For 12 months. So we can start it once this approval, we can start December 1st to the next December 1st. But realize, once we start going through this process, as the agreement says, we can stop it. If he's overflowing this thing, I don't think during the December months, it's a very nice area, don't get me wrong. I think in the spring, once they starts getting more wedding season and stuff, if we see increase of those amounts in that month reading, everything holds. And we stop it, then he has to pursue a septic permit to do additional septic fields or just replace the whole thing.
So at the 13th month, as an example, you don't care what happens?
Okay, after the 13th month, if 12 months go by and he stays at lower levels and stuff like that, yeah, we actually have a good, true reading of what that venue does and how many people are using it. Now, if you feel the board feels that we need to extend that at that time, maybe we should put that language in there.
But isn't he required to resubmit for the variance at the
Ooh.
13th month?
Actually, technically, this isn't a variance because he's already got the variance, but it says that he has to have adequate sewage system at the property. So you'll still have that in place even when this expires. So if his use changes again and it increases, then you can go back and do the same thing.
yeah, so if he comes out clean after 12 months, he doesn't have to come in for any new variance. He's covered, and we've got the old language in there that we don't like anymore, but we're stuck with. But if we see over 12 months, there's such an increased usage, however you would rate that, then we would have to review it again for another variance. And I think that's where we're at. And they don't have to agree to this, but they did.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So we are getting something we didn't necessarily have the right to, but it's to prevent a problem there in the future, hopefully. Questions, other comments? Nothing? We got to take this back to the board. We've got so many things we're taking back to the board. I'm getting embarrassed, but I need a motion one way or the other.
I'll move that we recommend to the board approval of this, what should we call it?
Amended agreement?
Yeah, amended agreement.
Due to financial hardship or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay,
would say-
that's fine.
Or it says here amendment to the agreement, I guess, so.
All right, then we're moving the recommendation of the amendment to the agreement due to financial hardship.
Is there a second?
So moved.
Okay, any further discussion or questions? All right, so all in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We're on to the calibration or the collaboration. And I always get trouble when it's on the back of another sheet. Cottage foods. I told my granddaughter about this and she almost fell off her chair. Because she asked me, well, what are we discussing today? And yeah, this is exciting stuff.
It is,
Yeah.
because everyone can be their own food producer.
We were so worried about certifying kitchens, but now we don't care. It's amazing. So
But we do care. That's why we're putting together the guidance.
yes, at least we're trying to plug a few holes and hang on by dear life here. Todd, it's you again.
Okay. as you know, that Cottage Foods Act has been around, but they are enhancing this to include a lot more. And what I mean by that is not only you can just do it at the farmers markets, you can basically do it online sales, you can do fairs, events, but also you can do a lot more. You can do canning, you can do so many more products have opened up, so many more processes have, which again, it's concerning, but obviously there's going to be some guidance behind it, which we are going to have to ensure and oversee. As you can see right now, there is a guidance that's in your packet, and it's preliminary guidance. The
You
state
should have gotten a new, just to hold on. They should have gotten it. The most recent version was sent out this afternoon.
Yeah,
It's not in the packet.
okay. As you can see in the original packet was the first version, just to get something out to the I apologize. I did a revision on that and try to put some links and the formatting and all that. And yes, there was a new one that just came out as an email. So, but as a county, we are, I think, the first to come out with something. So IDPH is supposed to provide us guidance. We have not seen it. This gets implemented on January 1st.
And again, kind of to step back on this, and again, do we have a motion to discuss it further?
Oh,
Well, is this something we're going to pass or not pass? Is this final?
Yes.
Okay, so
I mean, it's
yeah.
final is.
yeah, there's fees involved. There's fees involved. Yes.
Okay, well, hold on. There's two parts to this. So Ron, part of it is the guidance, and then there is the resolution on the fee structure related to this process. So I think, first of all, we need a motion to put the cottage food on the table so we can further discuss it.
Okay, so is there a motion to put the cottage foods on the table for tonight's dinner?
I'll make a
Well,
motion.
I'll second, I guess. Just phrase it
Okay.
somehow, Christina.
So just to kind of give some context, Todd kind of spoke to this. This was really enacted as part of the pandemic response when many of these smaller vendors were shut out of farmers markets and local, like say down at City Market or any of these areas. So this was enacted especially to encourage those individuals that had lost revenue or income through the pandemic to be able to start this back up. So the challenge that we have is it was enacted by law. It's now in JCAR, Ron, for additional rule writing by IDPH. The challenge is that we have is here we are mid-November and we do not have anything yet out by IDPH. So I pushed on Todd to start preparing our vendors so it's not a surprise aha moment. And so what what you see in this preliminary is really, I'm going to say, a collaborative effort between Todd, Charlotte, and myself to look at the statute as it was written and passed. What we understand will be best practices rolling out. But again, you probably will see this again when they do the final rules writing. So yeah, Ron, you're going to be a revolving door of policy as we get additional amendments or changes. But I really felt, and I pushed on Todd to get this out so our community would have this ahead of January 1st to start preparing, right? So we know, I think the other big one on this is the bake sales and things like that. I want to come back to that. There is the group that's not included anymore. Remember the thing that we used to sell cookies and things. Now, how many places do that anymore is probably because of the allergen risk is pretty low, but the cottage food and guides do not apply to individuals who produce or package non-potentially hazardous baked goods. So this is intended for the chocolate chip cookies and the snickerdoodles that are baked good for sale by a religious, charitable, or nonprofit organization for fundraising purposes. So that is new, clear language in the guidance as well. So I think that kind of moving forward, while we probably aren't going to see farmers markets for a while in January, I think we may see a little bit of some of that bake sale and, kinds of things going on. So again, we expect that there will be additional administrative guidance to local health departments on this, but we wanted to have something that we could post on our website so that, and we could distribute to potential cottage food vendors in our community to prepare for what we believe will be very close to, what will be the final guidance that's written in rules.
So you're saying that if a church has a fundraiser and people in the church bring in cookies to sell for the fundraiser, they have to go through this process?
No,
Oh.
they are
Oh,
not. It does
okay.
not
Exactly.
apply.
I was
And
going to
they-
say, you could have a lot of violators.
No. We already do have violators, so.
Yes.
Be
Yeah, we
clear.
already do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was this kind of idea. Most groups strayed away from, they really did not want to be selling baked goods, and who knows post-pandemic what that will be like. But I think that that's an important clarification on that. That is spelled out now. That this
Okay.
does not apply.
Okay, I misunderstood. I'm so glad we're prohibiting kumbaka, since I don't even know what that is, but it doesn't sound very good.
Well, there are many new dishes that are coming out of many different cultures that are fermented and pickled, and carry with them a little more risk, Ron. So that's exactly what they were trying to look at in some of this. So I think that, we've tried to kind of pull it together. What are the requirements of the cottage food operators? It's not that they shouldn't be trained. They need to be trained. They have to have allergen certificates. There's special labeling, as you can see, that we've bolded. They have to indicate that the product was produced in a home kitchen, not inspected by a health department. And they also process common food allergens. Like, you don't know if you have an allergy to peanuts, that in my home, I may have a jar of peanut butter. I may not be using it in the product, but if you have safety concerns, contact your local health department. It bounces back to us, Ron, which is why we said we probably need to make sure we have some guidance out there. Obviously, there are prohibited food items. So we are not in the business. I know people love to sell pumpkin pies, but that's now those custard items and cream pies and pastries with potentially hazardous fillings or toppings are the big ones. The other one, I think that people can distill their own liquor. And so again, and kombucha is a form of pickled cabbage.
Oh, okay. I still don't want it. Now that I know what it is. Alcoholic beverages. So I can't bring my home brew and sell it, huh?
No.
No.
Okay.
They have a liquor license.
Yeah, no, Angie, let's get that. They have to submit on, they have different groups for that, for craft brewing. But I think that, again, this is intended to meet the spirit of the legislation in terms of how can we organize it for people to understand? Of course, it broke our rule of one page, Todd and I, but there's a lot to learn on this. And there are definitely prohibited foods. So things like, I call it, some of the dehydration processes that occur, and then they repickle it. I think the other part that you should be aware of, they can ship it in Illinois. So, you can ship, but only in Illinois.
Okay. Yeah.
It's an odd kind of thing. And probably some of the other things that you'll see, because we do have well water in our community, on private, non-community, and shared wells with less than 15 connections. So they're not under municipal water supply. So we would want to make sure that they are not using contaminated water source for producing their goods. Todd,
Glad you came out with this. I really am, because just when you threw this out a couple months ago, and I didn't know about it, that the state was doing this, that was rather scary. This at least gets some control over the situation.
And I think to your point, where the goal is to put some bumper guards around it, right?
Right.
So that, and again, some, individuals may not be aware, right, that, they want to start a home canning business or whatever it is. And so how can we help them? If that's what they want to do, how can we support them in the process in a way that's going to be safe and protects the community and really protects them as well? There's, again, if you're canning, you have to follow certain canning procedures. I think I've learned more about what kind of, canning and the HACCP plans. We went over with Charlotte today what a HACCP plan is. And while there's a couple of sections that we've said may or may not be, for instance, we are asking for best practice that if you are developing a new procedure that doesn't follow an extension for canning, recipe. So let's say I'm going to develop a new technique for making pickles. And they have to produce that HACCP plan. And so, there's what means critical access pieces, from anything from cleaning the cucumber to cutting the cucumber to making the brine or whatever I'm putting it in, and how I'm to my packaging. But we're also going to ask that they do some, since it's a new procedure, we would want them as best practice to get it tested, right? That procedure does limit bacterial growth and does not lead to contamination. And see, those are things that are going to be some new areas. So things like kombucha and things like that, we didn't know, most people didn't know about, right? Or didn't use. We're going to have to be able to, this is a new procedure. We talk about sous vide and all that kind of stuff now that we do. What are the procedures for that when you do a vacuum sealed food, right? And then no one understands this one. When you open it up later, it allows if it was not properly processed, it basically reactivates the growth, right?
Mm.
Yeah, I know. You think, wow, everyone's like, well, I'm just going to vacuum seal the cheese and it won't be a problem. Well, it's not a problem until you open that package up again and then you start the process. So, and I know Todd's rubbing his head because this has not been his favorite.
Oh, I'm not a fan of this.
But I think that, he's worked very hard. And I think, all three of us looked at the legislation, what the intent to try and put some reasonable guidelines. And again, it's preliminary guidance. We expect that the state will issue some additional rules and guidance. But if I wanted to start January 1, I'm probably already developing my business plan and getting supplies. So I need to know what I have to do to be ready to go.
So you think this is well known in the community that they could do this?
I've gotten quite a few inquiries about it.
Really?
Yeah, I bet probably at least within the last month, probably 30 of them.
Wow.
They've got a very extensive, Illinois, if you looked on Illinois Stewardship Alliance was one of the advocacy groups that promoted this legislation. So they typically do outreach through, the farm bureaus, the extensions and all of that to, say, hey, did you know that you can do this? And so rather than be restrictive, we wanted to be permissive with appropriate guidance.
Yeah, I think it's really worthwhile because that there's a million communities of people who do stuff like this on the web.
Oh yeah.
And we need to get this out.
Every day.
Every day we get the Facebook taco guy and the Facebook enchilada man and the salsa.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, you can see tomatoes are a little problematic. You have to, you can only use the same, if you can't get your heirloom tomatoes that you normally get, you cannot substitute. And again, these really are those points where they're critical access. And the biggest concern on some of this is not even just what we call bacterial, but things like, botulism, things that are much the spore content and things like that. Anyway.
All right, I just have a procedural question. This is not a policy. This is not a regulation. It's what?
So the next part of it is, so we've got the guidance is, that go out, Christina, the resolution?
I didn't see it in the packet anywhere.
Okay, no, I sent it to her this afternoon.
All right, so there's a resolution that incorporates this or approves this or what?
The resolution talks about the fees that are under the authority of the Board of Health. So we have to set the table here, Ron. So we're doing first what we've developed is the guidance for cottage foods. And now, again, so Christina, is it out or show you going to put it up on screen as well?
But we pass a guidance.
No.
No. The registration fee. That's what we have. to
That's all we're doing?
No. Okay,
Yeah,
let's put
so
the
I'm
resolution
confused.
up. The law allows for a $50 registration fee. It's not a permit, so I want to be clear. And we have had, and Charlotte can talk to you about, this does not require, since it is an internal policy, it does not require an ordinance change, correct, Charlotte? That was
Because the statute specifically says the local health department can set these fees.
okay.
So it does not need to go to the county board.
Yeah, we can set the fees, but can we require
The guidance,
compliance with the guidance?
the guidance pretty much tracks the statute. So
Okay,
yeah, I don't think the guidance necessarily has to be approved by the county board or by the board. It's more of a informational because it is exactly what the statute requires.
okay. All right. So we really didn't need this on the floor.
No, but I think it's talking about it in a package, Ron. That's why I wanted to make sure, to just put this up, we would have had to go back and take a look at.
All right, so what we're going to present to the board would be this, what is it called?
Resolution.
Resolution to the Board of Health. And it deals with the fees. Does it deal with anything else?
Nope, just the fees, registration fee and inspection fees.
Yeah,
Is what
because
you're authorized to set.
I can't see everything, so I don't know for sure.
So what it's saying is it's a Regulation Enforcement Act 410 Illinois CS 625-/4. So this is put out in the state of Illinois, and it's for us to pass on the guidelines to the people who will be involved in the Cottage Food Act. Is that correct?
Well, we're passing on the fees.
The fees, you're considering the resolution. So if you want a motion, additionally, the resolution, again, I had you motion Cottage Foods, but here's the resolution that we are now from this, give you the background. We are by statute can set the fees. There is a permit, not a permit fee, a registration fee that can be charged of $50, not to exceed $50. And so we have also established that if we have, there are additional fees that we can charge. And one of them was anytime that we have to go out and inspect their kitchen or have to conduct an interview with them, right? So here's the challenge. Unlike a regular permitted food establishment, and Todd, you can interrupt. I can't see anybody at this point because I can only see the document. Is that we don't go out and inspect the kitchen, right? On a Cottage Food. The only time we will be going out is when it is complaint based. So let's say we get a nuisance complaint, the product wasn't labeled, or that is $100.
Correct.
If we have a foodborne illness outbreak, we looked at average number of hours, kind of calculate about 5 hours to do the case investigation to determine what the agent is and all of that. That $500 would be charged for any reported foodborne illness outbreak.
Okay. Just another procedural question. How will this market guidance get in the hands of these people? So when they apply for the registration, they pay the registration. Is that when you give them the guidance?
Ron, when talking with Todd, we're going to post the guidance ahead. That'll be in the website no matter for anyone to look at.
Okay.
And again, we would also probably push it out through several of our different, I'm going to say, partner agencies that typically deal with this, like the farm, the Extension Co-op at the University of Illinois. We have the Farm Bureau of Boone and Winnebago counties, again, and in our municipal as well. So they can post that with the idea being that, if they can get that into the hands of others, in addition to having it posted. Now,
True.
obviously, when they go to register, we would also give them another copy.
True.
Okay.
Once a week, we do canvas through the social media platforms. We do see people selling food. This is when we're going to get it to them. We always send out a cease and desist letter at that time, but now since this is coming about, we'll send them the guidance. And the
Okay.
guidance that will assist them. So.
All right, as far as this motion, you want to change when it is approved. You don't want June of 2021.
Oh,
So you either want it November
yeah.
or blank.
Yeah, we can put in the appropriate date when it passes through the board.
Right.
Okay, so is there a motion to recommend this resolution to the County Board of Health?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
To recommend approval of the resolution on cottage foods to the Board of Health.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, for any further discussion? I think I just pulled up, somebody just pull up the,
I think Christina's screen.
oh,
yeah,
okay,
yes, yeah.
great. I thought I was gonna have to make the amendment myself there. All right, any other discussion? We're just passing a resolution, a recommendation for a resolution on fees for the cottage food. I like the guidance and I understand we don't have to approve that, but this is really needed. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Gee, let's make a change to the vaccination policy.
Before
Yeah.
we go on, Christina, would you send us the resolution so that we can file it with our information from this meeting?
Or it'll be in your packet for next Tuesday,
You're right.
Right.
Thank you.
right?
That is,
I hope.
yeah, should.
That's good.
All right, so,
Yeah, so
Charlotte,
we apologize for bringing back the vaccination policy once again. The reason for it this time is because of the OSHA regulations that just came out last week. So we got to make sure our policy is in compliance with those regulations. So there's a few, we covered a lot of it already, but there's a few changes that needed to be made, just so we're addressing everything, provided that those regulations aren't overturned by the courts. But right now, and most of the changes I think are good and probably something we'd want to leave in anyways. I'm not sure about the fact that we have to maintain a roster of all the employees and their vaccination status. I mean, I guess it's a good way to track it. So
okay,
that's
yeah,
the reason for bringing it back. We had also considered bringing it back because of the change to the Illinois Right of Conscience Act for the religious exemption that was approved. So we are not required to give them a exemption if they have a conscientious objection. However, it was pointed out that that doesn't take effect until June of 2022. So we can't take that out yet. So we'll probably bring it back at whatever point that can come out as well. But
That's probably where the June came in, all this June work.
oh, okay. Is there a motion for the vaccination policy amendments?
Make a motion, we accept the amendments to the vaccination policy.
There's, okay, discussion. Had a chance to read these. I've looked through them today and I didn't see anything. Nothing popped out at me, but did anything jump out at anybody else?
I didn't see anything.
Okay. Pat?
Looks okay to me.
Okay. All right, any other questions about it? All right, all those in favor of recommending approval of the amendments to the vaccination policy? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Do we have anything else? Nothing else? Until next month, when we can change the vaccination policy. You come
Yes.
back with the variance change and everything else.
And the cottage food, because by that
Yeah.
point, we'll probably have, we are moving toward not, I'm trying to not have any board meetings in December, unless there's something urgent, as we typically, but things seem to move pretty quickly. So I don't, unless there's significant substantial changes to any of that, we would try not to have one in December. But I don't want you to wipe it off your calendar quite yet.
It's a lot easier to do it when we're on Zoom than
I
it is to
know.
come in person in
I
December.
agree. So
Yeah, so
keep it on your calendar, but I'm working diligently, but everything seems to be happening year end now.
Yep.
well, how long do we think we're going to still be on Zoom? Does anybody know? No? Okay.
I hate
I
to
don't
say-
hear anything, so I don't know what's going to.
No,
I think, oh, sorry, I was gonna say, I think by law, you can continue to do it as long as there's an emergency disaster declaration in the state.
Okay.
So I shouldn't hope that the emergency disaster declaration is done. Somehow that seems like a bad health policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we have somewhere in between?
Yeah, that's my
I
hope.
think that there's, but I know there's movement afoot on several at the municipal league as well, to make some amendments to the Open Meetings Act. Because people have recognized you can get more diverse board participation, more regular board participation. That,
Quorums.
yeah, that again, it does, and there are challenges to it. And I know one of the things that Charlotte and Dr. Williams will be reviewing is reminders about the Open Meetings Act. And it's when we are on Zoom, some of the changes that need to make sure that we're following through on.
Okay. Anything else?
No, we're good tonight.
All right. I'm surprised we didn't have a personnel meeting tonight. I'm kind of thrown by that. I don't know what's going on, Pat. Do you?
No, and I all of a sudden I realized I was kind of in a flurry of family issues and things, and all of a sudden I realized we were coming on tonight and there was no meeting. So
Yeah.
I
And then
don't
we have
know.
we have
I will
business to
call
take care
Lucy.
of.
I know we do. So I'll call Lucy.
Okay. All right. If there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
All right. See you Tuesday.
Okay, Andy, we'll see you at 5:30 for finance.
Yep.
Oh, I'm so happy for you all.
Let me tell you, if it wasn't for Zoom, we wouldn't have a quorum on any of these things right now. Everyone,
Oh, no.
I think,
Policy, we'd be there.
yeah, sure.
I don't know about the rest of them, but we'd
How are
make
they
it.
doing on county board?
We're doing pretty good. Last night, I think we only had 3 missing, but we're having. In fact, we had a full audience yesterday too because of Veterans Month,
Mhm.
and so it was quite active. This is the times when I'm glad I sit up front and not in the back, because they're breathing on the back of me, not the front of me. So.
Yeah, that's
And
exactly why I didn't go into the last night, because
It was,
the gallery gets very full.
yes.
And
So,
our
and
case-
then, yeah, and I don't wander around either. I just go in, sit down, and just stay there. And then I'm usually the last one out too. But so far, so good.
no, our case rate is quite high today. I always think I can find it real quick for everybody because
Is that 220?
yeah, 220 was the number of cases. Was that also the case rate per 100,000? Yeah, we're getting high. Wow. So
How are we doing in relation to the surrounding counties? Are we all about the same?
yeah, here's our let me share screen. And these are our good numbers. No, we're high, Ron, compared to our larger surrounding counties.
Okay.
But Joe Davies and Stevenson and ourselves, Winnebago, I was called to the principal's office. I called to find out why her case is so high. But again, I look at this. When you look at Cook, DuPage, Lake, Kane, their percent vaccinated is much higher than this.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, it's unfortunate, but everyone's seeing an uptick in cases. You're starting to see, you know, I just got a blurb in from the EU, you know, kind of the World Health Organization. You're seeing the uptick in Europe. So, I mean, it really does. As we move indoors, it's becoming increasingly challenging, you know, to fight it off. And we've got a vaccination clinic running tonight. The 5 to 11-year-olds are lining up and getting vaccinated. And it's kind of a nice breath of fresh air. They're kind of fun about it. It reminds you, you know, there's hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, boy, this has been going on way too long.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I think sometimes we get lax in what we do too, because it has gone on for so long that you get tired of it and you kind of forget, and the next thing you know, it's popping up all over again. We will master this. We master
right.
we
Go
will
ahead.
master. I'll see you in a little bit.
All right. Good night.
Right.
Right. Oh.